no, but elections are won on the margins by a coalition of little things that hit people personally. Trump gets this. He feels your pain in the Kamala ran on democracy, which is the most important issue. But without the political skill to sell it, it added up to nothing. Meanwhile, Trump was running on, I'll make the poop go down. He never shut up about bad shower pressure, light bulbs, and low-flow toilets. It reminded me of when Chuck Schumer said in 2016 that for every blue-collar Democrat we lose in Western Pennsylvania, we're going to pick up 2 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philly, Ohio, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Yeah, how'd that work out?
Maher is sounding the alarm, and it's loud. He's warning that the Democratic Party he once championed is drifting toward irrelevance. According to Maher, the DNC has become a hollow version of its former self, and unless it course corrects fast, it risks turning into a political ghost brand. His critique is sharp, biting, and brutally funny, so hit subscribe and let's get into it.
I fear the Democratic Party is at risk of becoming a ghost brand too. Like Sears, it used to be mighty and ascendant and popular. Sears once accounted for 1% of the entire American economy and 41% of the appliance market, and built the country's tallest tower. Democrats once controlled Congress and the Supreme Court, or at least competitive. But now, even at a time when President Trump is turning 250 years of democracy into jeans shorts,
Bill Maher has been watching the Democratic Party with a critical eye, and what he sees worries him. There was a time when the party was a powerhouse, popular with the working class, championing major causes, and drawing massive crowds wherever it went. It felt vibrant, energized, and unstoppable. But today, according to Maher, that same party is barely a shadow of its former self. Once a unifying force, it now struggles to connect with the very voters who once carried it to victory. Its messaging feels muddled, its priorities scattered, and its relevance increasingly questioned. Maher warns that if the Democrats don't course correct soon by reconnecting with everyday Americans and embracing practical solutions, they risk becoming a ghost of their former glory, a party remembered more for nostalgia than for impact. His observations are sharp, unapologetic, and, as always, sprinkled with his trademark humor.
the Democrats have their lowest rating in 35 years, 63% unfavorable. What happened? I don't know. What happened to Sears? It used to be synonymous with the American dream because it kept faith with what the customer wanted. Did we love Sears? No, but that was besides the point. You just went. It was like an Avatar movie that sold tools.
According to Bill Maher, the Democratic Party has long strayed from its original purpose, and the consequences are becoming impossible to ignore. Once the go-to party for the working class, the Democrats have now lost their grip on the very voters who built their power. Maher argues that they've stopped catering to the working class, focusing instead on agendas that feel distant and disconnected from everyday Americans. Their message no longer resonates. What once inspired hope and loyalty now leaves people indifferent or outright frustrated. As a result, voters are rejecting them in droves, turning to alternatives that speak more directly to their concerns and struggles. Maher warns that if the Democrats continue down this path, they risk not just losing elections, but fading into political irrelevance. His critique is sharp, unflinching, and laced with humor, calling on the party to wake up before it's too late.
It used to be where your family bought everything, from school clothes to appliances to your family Christmas portrait. Now, Sears is a great place to go if you want to be alone. But you better hurry. Sears used to have 3,500 stores, and now it has 5. Same thing happened to Playboy, except in silk pajamas and a captain's hat. For 66 years, Playboy magazine was also a fact of American life. Sears sold your father a mattress, and Playboy was what he hid under it.
The reason Bill Maher keeps comparing the Democratic National Committee to Sears and Playboy is simple. He sees a warning story in their rise and fall. Both Sears and Playboy were once American giants, dominating their industries and shaping culture in ways few others could. But when they failed to adapt to changing times and evolving customer demands, their relevance crumbled, and today, they exist mostly as shadows of their former selves. Maher fears the same fate could befall the Democratic Party if it doesn't act quickly and decisively. Once a powerhouse with broad appeal, the DNC risks stagnation if it continues ignoring the needs of everyday Americans and clings to strategies that no longer resonate. Maher's analogy isn't just clever, it's a wake-up call, sharp, insightful, and laced with his trademark humor, urging the party to evolve before it becomes another cautionary tale of decline.
The basic problem we have in America is conservatives think the liberals are insane, and they're not completely wrong. Now, I don't think most liberals are insane, but neither do they make it clear they disapprove of the ones who are, and their cowardice in not marginalizing their own crazies has been their downfall. I couldn't get Neil deGrasse Tyson, a genius scientist and preeminent scientific voice in the media, to agree that it was ridiculous for Scientific American and The Atlantic to be claiming that separating sports by doesn't make sense.
And this is exactly what frustrates Maher the most, the left's stubborn refusal to accept basic scientific facts and objective reality. In his view, many on the left are so deeply immersed in their woke ideology that no amount of evidence, logic, or reasoning seems to reach them. Facts become secondary to feelings, and truth is often filtered through a lens of personal belief rather than objective understanding. Maher sees this as dangerous and absurd. Policies, debates, and decisions are being shaped not by data or real-world outcomes, but by what feels right to a vocal segment of activists. It's not about improving society or solving problems. It's about adhering to a worldview that validates their identity and ideology. For Maher, this reliance on emotion over evidence is not just frustrating, it's a recipe for failure. When decisions ignore facts, the consequences are real, measurable, and often disastrous.
People ask me all the time, why haven't you ever had Hillary or Bill Clinton on? Why didn't you have Kamala on during the last campaign? You think we don't ask? We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted for them.
Here, Maher takes aim at the Democratic establishment itself, dissecting their reluctance to appear anywhere they can't control. From Hillary Clinton to Kamala Harris, he challenges the pattern of top Democrats declining invitations to open, unscripted conversation. Maher argues that their refusal to come on his show isn't about scheduling, it's about fear of genuine dialogue. He points out that these are leaders he actually voted for, yet they avoid even friendly territory if it means facing real questions. More alarmingly, Maher warns that this defensive posture signals a party that no longer trusts its own message or its ability to connect with voters directly. When leaders hide behind handlers instead of engaging honestly, the consequences aren't abstract. They erode credibility and public confidence. Maher's critique isn't about loyalty, it's about a party drifting away from transparency and basic political instincts.
I've been telling Democrats for years the Republicans are going to steal pot from you as an issue, and now Trump says,
we're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination.
What'd you expect? He is the master at winning votes from small groups who are passionate about one issue, picking up a couple percent here, a couple there, until on election night it's YMCA.
Unlike the Democrats, Donald Trump focused on the issues that truly mattered to the average American. He zeroed in on the challenges people faced in their daily lives, jobs, economic security, immigration, and national pride, and spoke about them with a passion that resonated deeply. Trump didn't get lost in abstract debates or cultural trends. He connected directly with the concerns of ordinary citizens, promising to make the country work better for them. And that clarity and focus is exactly what people want from their leaders. Someone who listens, understands, and takes action to improve their lives. While many politicians chase trends or ideological agendas, Trump's approach was grounded in practical results and real-world impact. Maher and others note that this kind of connection is what earns loyalty, trust, and support. By addressing the core needs of Americans, he showed that political relevance comes from prioritizing the people over politics.
In his first term, he signed an executive order banning TikTok and then got trounced by young voters. So in 24, he campaigned on saving it. And apparently every Tide Pod eater responded because his youth vote was up 21%. In his first term, he called cryptocurrency not money and based on thin air and said it seems like a scam. And who better to know a scam? Well, well, that was then. Now he's on more coins than Julius Caesar. Overnight, he became the crypto candidate as opposed to Biden, the crypt keeper candidate.
Here, Maher is illustrating exactly how Trump managed to win back many of the voters he lost during his first term. Trump recognized that his original message wasn't fully connecting with younger voters, and instead of doubling down, he adjusted his approach. He refined his messaging, sharpened his focus, and spoke more directly to the concerns of the broader electorate. By addressing issues that mattered across age groups, economic opportunity, national strength, and future stability, he ensured his message resonated with the voter populace. That adaptability proved crucial. Voters responded not just to what he said, but to the fact that he was willing to listen, recalibrate, and meet them where they were. In politics, Maher argues, relevance is everything. Trump's ability to evolve his message and reconnect with disaffected voters ultimately paid off at the ballot box, proving that responsiveness, not rigid ideology, is what wins elections.
So, chalk up another 1 or 2%. Democrats used to own Silicon Valley. Those California do-gooder liberals who wanted to save the planet. Yeah, right. Trump came along and said, regulations? We don't need no stinking regulations. Not only did he win them over, in his second inauguration, they were all sitting up on the stage with him. There was an entire section that looked like the full range of the autism spectrum.
Trump also managed to win over large parts of the tech industry by rolling back regulations that Democrats had aggressively piled onto the sector. His argument was simple: innovation thrives when government gets out of the way. By easing regulatory pressure, Trump positioned himself as a pro-growth leader who understood how businesses operate and what they need to succeed. In contrast, Democratic-led states, especially California, have buried companies under layers of taxes, labor mandates, and compliance rules. The result has been predictable. Major companies and startups alike are fleeing the state in search of friendlier business environments where costs are lower and innovation isn't strangled by red tape. Maher points out that this regulatory overreach has turned California from a tech haven into a cautionary tale. Trump's deregulatory approach appealed not just to executives, but to workers who understood that fewer regulations often mean more jobs, growth, and opportunity.
No, but elections are won on the margins by a coalition of little things that hit people personally. Trump gets this. He feels your pain in the Kamala ran on democracy, which is the most important issue. But without the political skill to sell it, it added up to nothing. Meanwhile, Trump was running on, I'll make the poop go down. He never shut up about bad shower pressure, light bulbs, and low-flow toilets.
Trump's focus, according to Maher, has always been on fixing what's broken, not putting on a political performance. He talked relentlessly about tangible problems, border security, inflation, jobs, crime, and economic decline, and framed his leadership around solutions rather than symbolism. In contrast, Kamala Harris and much of the Democratic Party appeared more preoccupied with theatrics, carefully scripted moments, and pandering to the fringe left. Instead of addressing kitchen table issues that affect everyday Americans, they leaned into cultural signaling and headline-grabbing gestures that played well on social media but did little to improve people's lives. Maher argues that voters can sense the difference between real leadership and political acting. While Trump emphasized results and accountability, Democrats focused on optics and ideological appeasement. That disconnect, he warns, is costing them credibility. Americans want problems solved, not lectures delivered, and that contrast has become increasingly clear at the ballot box. In the end, Maher's warning is clear and blunt. Parties, like brands, survive by listening to the people they claim to represent. Trump focused on fixing real problems and adapting his message, while Democrats drifted into theatrics, ideology, and cultural obsessions. Voters noticed and responded. If the Democratic Party doesn't course correct soon, it risks fading into irrelevance, becoming just another once dominant force that failed to evolve. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.